So here we are, corporate governance, conflicts, mechanisms, risks and benefits. See, corporate governance is nothing but the corporate sector which is governed by the government or the regulators. And they govern the corporate sector or the companies by making or framing certain laws, rules, regulations, etc. There can be some conflicts, of course, differences of opinion, and there can be some mechanisms like to resolve or how the corporate sector is governed and what are the risks the sector the investors can have and the benefits. So corporate governance describe the principal agent relationship and conflicts that may arise between stakeholder groups. See, first of all, principal is the shareholder and agent is the director. So directors work for the principal or the shareholders interest. That means they work for the best interest of shareholders, right? So some example here. Consider an insurance agent who is paid a commission on policies written. Of course, it would be in the agent's interest to write insurance policies on people or property that are not good risks to maximize commission income. Fine. So the principal, the owner of the insurance company does not want to issue policies that are bad risks. See, if someone is suffering from something very like very severe like suffering someone is undergoing, let's say before taking an insurance policy they may ask you a number of questions. They'll ask you whether you consume any kind of substance which has nicotine or tobacco or you smoke or what. That is a bad risk for them. So they know that if someone takes a insurance policy of that kind, the chances are more that the claims would be asked by such people. Okay. Because there is more chance that the person who is consuming alcohol or any kind of tobacco substance like is at very high risk of some death or something, okay, due to some reasons, because the immunity and all the entire body suffers because of these substances, right? So what the companies want is the insurance agents should insure people who have good health. Okay, so it would be in agent's interest to write insurance policies on people or property that are not good risks. Okay, it would be in the agent's interest to write insurance policy on people or property that are not good risk to maximize commission income. So they want to put people into policies whose premium will be high. See, Mr. X has an age of 25 years, very less risk or very less chance of any kind of disease or death or something. Mr. Y has an age of 40, more riskier than Mr. X, okay, because he's moving towards his old age. And here Mr. Y's premium will be high, more risk, and as the premium is high, the agent will get more commission. So agent would look for these people. Okay, and the company wants more of these people. Okay, so that they can pay premium for a longer time and the claim settlement will also be less, a chance of claim settlement. So it would be in agent's interest to write insurance policies on people or property that are not good risks to maximize commission income, and the principal does not want to issue policies, that is a company, that are bad risks as there is money losing proportion. So insurance companies also want this kind of people, agents want this kind of people, because agents can maximize commission in this case and companies can get maximum benefits in this case. So there is a conflict of interest, right? So in the same way, being the shareholder of a company, you want the company to invest the surplus money whatever the company is making in risky investment so that more returns can be made. That will be in your interest, but company knows that if they take higher risks tomorrow, if they are incurring losses, then you are going to blame them. So that is not in their interest. That's what. So there's a conflict of interest. Insurance companies minimize this conflict by imposing underwriting standards for the policies they issue and by continuing to work only with agents who consistently act in companies' best interest. Agency cost are the cost of principal agent conflict. See, because of this conflict, what happens? Sometimes there is a cost incurred. Fine. Because anyone in both of them would be looking forward for their own interest. So agency cost can be direct, such as hiring employees to monitor the agent. Okay, so the companies will be hiring certain employees to monitor the agent's activities, whether the agents are cheating people or whether the agents are like trying to see their own welfare. So that creates a cost, right? Because again, someone has to be hired for this purpose and should be paid for should be paid money for this purpose. Or indirect such opportunity cost of lost business. See what happens if for survival the insurance company should get policies. If insurance companies are always against the agents activities, or agents are bringing certain customers for insurance, but companies the employees who are hired are stopping the agent from bringing such customers who are very risky, and it is a loss for the company in that case. In that case, the insurance company is ultimately losing the business as well. So these two things can happen. Now, conflicts of interest between shareholders and managers or directors. One of the examples I've given. In context of a corporation, shareholders are the principals, and that is nothing but they're the owners, and the firm management and board members, directors are their agents. Managers and directors may choose a lower level of businesses than shareholders would. Managers have their employment income tied to firm and stand to lose it should the firm fail. Okay, so they want to take lesser risks, because if they take higher risk and firm goes into losses, then they may lose their jobs as well. So why would they take such kind of risk? But shareholders in turn want them to take risky projects so that they may get good returns. So shareholders can diversify their portfolios cheaply, and as such might prefer that individual companies take more risk. So the shareholders may have other investments as well. So they can have a good diversified portfolio, and now they can pressurize one particular company to take up risky projects and give them more returns, right? So these kind of conflicts you may see. Now, next, just a second. Now, conflicts may arise if inside directors favor management interests at the expense of shareholder interest. That is also not good. That's not expected from directors of the company. Or if directors favor one group of shareholders at the expense of another. Some conflicts result from information asymmetry between shareholders and managers. That means shareholders and managers, they don't get information at the same time at times, which refers to the fact that managers have more and better information about the functioning of the firm and its strategic direction than shareholders do. So this decreases the ability of shareholders or non-executive directors to monitor and evaluate whether managers are acting in the best interest of shareholders. Because when you don't have the full information, what you may guess or what you may try to infer, so you will not be in a better position to decide or really guess or forecast or estimate what is happening. Okay, and you cannot take some strong decisions. So information asymmetry is more acute for larger companies that operate in many, so in case of MNC companies, whereby a lot of segments and different products the company is dealing with, like conglomerate. So Tata is the best example of conglomerate, okay, business, because as the company is very big, that much it's very, the communication should be intact, but it's very tough to maintain such kind of communication because of the, and effective communication network is a big challenge for many companies, you know. Now, common principal agent conflicts arise in the following ways. Managers may put in insufficient effort that never is liked by the shareholders, because if the manager is lazy, lethargic, okay, so this leads to, they are very, you know, lazy ones, not very active. So this leads to poor evaluation of investment opportunities and risks taken, resulting in overall higher total cost. So what happens if they are not putting sufficient efforts and they are not looking for good investment opportunities? It will be like, you know, very hefty cost for the company, because the managers are paid very high like money for their particular skills, and they are not applying their skills. So the benefit what we are getting from the manager is very less to cost what we are spending. So cost is more, benefit is less. Managers getting option grants may want to ratchet up risk, because options do not have any downside risk. Of course, option, you know, we have discussed already in TVM topic, what is an option. So they may get some good options, okay, and you know, options doesn't have a downside risk. On the other hand, managers who are compensated, some options like employee stock options, etc. So on the other hand, managers who are compensated primarily with cash may be inadequately motivated to take risk. So don't give them money immediately in their hands. It is better to go for performance related pay. That means how better you perform, that much better you will be rewarded. So if you just give them money in advance in their hands and ask them to do tasks, if they lose, even there's no one there to blame them, or kind of, you know, once you have just paid the money, then that's it. Then what are you going to, then then like it's like, you know, going to, how they are going to get motivated, or they will be motivated to take extra hardships for taking up certain good projects which may give you good profits. So what will happen is, these people, when they get the money in their hands, immediately they may lose the motivation, or nothing motivates them to work hard, you know, because they've got everything in their hands. Once you get things in your hands, then why will you put some extra efforts? That's a big drawback. Manager compensation tied to company size creates incentives for empire building through poor or unnecessary acquisitions. So what they do, they try to, you know, their compensation. See, sometimes the traffic police unnecessarily, they will try to put some challans and all, for what? For promotion purposes. So there sometimes this a lot of like corruption happens, and sometimes a lot of illegal activities even happen, because, you know, for higher incentives, of course. So fake cases and all these things are also put on some people, and some kind of false claims, allegations, and they try to get their promotions. So managers may seek to entrench themselves by taking inadequate risk, mimicking competitors' actions. So what they do, they don't want to take much risk. They don't want to put their knowledge even. They want to copy others. If others are doing well and being successful, these people start copying them. That is when you give them good amount of money in their hands beforehand, and that makes them very lazy, lethargic, and lagging, and they don't want to try something new. Okay, so managers may seek to entrench themselves by taking inadequate risk, mimicking competitors' actions rather than generating original ideas, or engaging in otherwise unprofitable projects that require their specific individual knowledge. Directors, in turn, might seek to entrench themselves by going along with management decision instead of questioning them. So it's like easy going. No one is questioning anyone. Managers may undertake self-dealing by exploiting firm resources for personal benefit. Sometimes what they do is they try to deal by themselves, by not even like discussing things with anyone, because they see their own personal benefit. Because whatever the promotion comes and things come, they don't want a team for that. They want to take the credit on themselves, which is not good, which is against the teamwork and against the very idea, or the basic idea of forming an organization. Now, more conflict between groups of shareholders. So a single shareholder or group of shareholders in a company may hold most of the votes, controlling shareholders, and act against the interest of minority shareholders. So some shareholders may, every shareholder has a vote, but some may have majority votes because they may have lot of shares with them. The holding is big, so they try to dominate. So a controlling shareholder may have concentrated ownership in that a large proportion of his or her wealth might consist of shares in this company. In this situation, a controlling shareholder might want the company to diversify into different businesses to mitigate risk. So that's what, like the controlling shareholder who has 30%, 40% stakes want the company's management to listen to them, and they want the business to diversify into different businesses so that less risk is there, right? Minority shareholders, by contrast, might already hold diversified portfolios and do not want the company to squander resources by investing in less desirable business just to diversify. So here is Ambani family. Ambani family has a very big stake in Reliance Industries, let's say 40 or 50 or 60, whatever. And rest of the 70% stakes, let's say 30% is with the general public. See, Reliance Ambani, what they want is they want to they want to expand this business by opening more and more branches or more and more segments, or foraying into different products. That means they want to enter into different sectors or segments. Okay, but what these people do is they say, like, if Ambani is going into that way, then it can be it. So what Ambani sees is, if they diversify their business, they may like grow in all areas and expand. These people, the minority shareholders, they say that we have shares of many companies, so they don't want Ambani to go for all this. Again, they fear that if that new project doesn't do well, then what? Because these people already have diversified portfolios. They put money into 10 or 20 company stocks. They don't want, they don't find, they don't, like this idea. Again, conflict. Some firms have a dual class structure with different classes of common stock outstanding. Some with more voting power than others. So this can give a group of shareholders effective control of company, even if they have claims to less than 50% of its earnings and assets. So someone having more voting power can also try to dominate. So CFA Institute advocates against dual class voting structures because they allow one group of shareholders to further their interests at the expense of other groups. So domination. Conflict of interest between creditors and shareholders. See, creditors always want like their money back, and they don't want company to take more loans for expansion, but shareholders want, because the creditors, they are always worried that company may default. Shareholders want company to borrow money at times and put that into expansion, etc. So that the ultimate beneficiary is nothing but the shareholder with good returns. The company, the new new branch or new segment is opened up. Okay, so like creators don't want to restrict. Generally, I will use one single word. Creators always want to restrict company from going into new projects until and unless their money is paid, and shareholders always want the company to go into new projects. Even though high risk should be taken or borrowing is required. So loan covenants are big, are always the restrictions on companies, and shareholders, they want the company to take the risk. That's it always. Now, just a second. Now, describe corporate governance and mechanisms to manage stakeholder relationships and mitigate associated risks. So what is the question all about? They're asking you what is corporate governance and in what way you can manage the stakeholder relationship. That means the conflicts can be resolved or to some extent kind of eased up. And also what are the risks a company may have if corporate governance is not properly complied with. That means, if there's no corporate governance. So corporate governance system of internal controls, and the ones who are charged with governance is the directors of the company, and they have to ensure that company follows all the compliances, rules, regulations, laws made by the government, made by the regulators, etc. And it is system of internal control. That means internally the organization has to be controlled properly, and procedures by which individual companies are managed. So every company is managed by making certain bylaws, right? So it includes a framework that defines. So these all bylaws have to be submitted to the authorities so that they may also know how, in what way, as per the act, how the bylaws are made and it syncs with the act or not. It includes a framework that defines the rights. So what is that framework all about? That means a document in which all the details are there, in which you find the rights, roles and responsibilities of various groups within an organization, stakeholder groups, management, directors, etc. What are the rights of each and every stakeholder group, director, and the employees, management, responsibility, etc. The objective is to manage and minimize conflicts of interest between stakeholders of the company. Shareholder management refers to management of company relations with stakeholders. Stakeholder management, sorry. That means they are trying to manage everything very properly, trying to follow, adopt standard practices, trying to comply with rules and regulations, and trying to report everything properly, and trying to make sure that stakeholders conflicts are arised, and they get the maximum expected benefits what they expect from the company. So stakeholders gather information about company from public reports filed by company. Public companies release information in annual reports, proxy statements and public notices. This reporting includes information about the financial performance and standing of the company, related party transactions. That means see what happens. Lot of disclosures should happen in case of public companies. They always, they release the annual reports and they try to give a lot of information, like almost every information to share stakeholders about the proxy statements, the public notices, what are served on them, etc. The financial performance of the company, where the company stands today, whether there's a related party transaction between the company directors and someone whom they know, some transactions have happened or not, and how much remuneration each and every executive is getting, governance structure. While reporting requirements for private companies are more limited, doesn't even that much required, because public is not involved in private companies, but public companies have to disclose. Okay. And transparency in reporting reduces information asymmetry, because everyone is getting lot information at once, allows stakeholders to evaluate whether the company's actions align with their interest. That means whether company is taking all those steps or taking all those decisions which are in their favor, in the sense in their best interest. Stakeholder mechanism. So just give me a second. So corporations typically hold an annual general meeting after the end of firm's fiscal year. At the general meeting, company management provides shareholders with audited financial statements for the year, of course, addresses the company's performance and significant actions over the period, and answers shareholders' questions. This is what is routine. Okay. So corporate laws dictate that when the AGM must occur and how. See, corporate companies law come into picture. That tells fine meetings are to be done and all the information has to be shared. But when that should happen and how the meeting must be communicated to shareholders in what way. Then minutes of meeting also is done by the company secretaries. And typically anyone owning shares is permitted to attend the annual meeting. If they don't come, then proxy can come. Okay. And they have the right to vote and appoint the directors. Fine. So annual general meeting can vote her shares her shares by proxy, meaning she assigns her right to vote to another person who will attend the meeting. Often a director, member of management, or the shareholders investment advisor, they can also come and attend the meeting. Okay, as a proxy. And a proxy may specify the shareholders vote on specific issues or leave the vote to the discretion of person to whom the proxy is assigned. Now, ordinary resolutions such as approval of an auditor and the election of directors require a simple majority of the votes cast. Did you understand this one? Any doubts? Hello?
No, sir.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And any resolution has to be passed, then extraordinary general meetings, which can be called any time a matter requires a shareholder vote. Examples include amendments to companies' bylaws, merger, takeover, shareholder proposed special board action election, or liquidation of the firm. For all this, resolution or like these are not something which are normal things. These are like something like a lot of money is involved. So extraordinary general meetings are to be conducted. Shareholders are the one who are very active, who try to dominate, who try to pressurize the put the pressure on the company's directors to get to always they kind of pressurize the directors to listen to their words. Okay. And pressure companies in which they hold a significant number of shares for changes they believe will increase shareholder value. They may initiate shareholder lawsuits or seek representation on board of directors. Sometimes they may ask about directors also, and some kind of presentation also they may require representation. They also want to represent as a board member at times because they hold good amount of shares. Other activist tactics include proposing shareholder resolutions for a vote and raising their issues to all shareholders or public to gain wider support. Hedge funds have engaged increasingly in shareholder activism at firms in which they hold significant stakes. So hedge funds are nothing but like mutual funds only. These are companies who have very strong, strong holdings or big holdings in companies. So they try to, try to like dominate and try to pressurize the directors to take decisions in their favor. A shareholder activist group may initiate a proxy contest in which they seek the proxies of shareholders to vote in favor of their alternative proposals, or may make a tender offer for enough shares of a company to gain control. Or make tender offer for enough shares of company. That means they want to buy more shares. They will give a tender offer. That means they are ready to pay higher prices. So if willing people they want to sell, they can come and sell the shares to these people so that they may gain more control. Both senior managers and board of directors can be replaced by shareholders when they believe company performance is poor and would be improved by change. The threat of a hostile takeover, one not supported by companies management, can act as an incentive for companies managements and boards to pursue policies better aligned with interest of shareholders. See what happens if directors or management is not listening to shareholders, then they always have a fear that in case of hostile takeover, the shareholders may go with the company whom the management or directors do not want to acquire them. Okay, or they don't want to work under them. So on the other hand, it might also cause the current management or board to adopt takeover differences such as Staggered board elections, we already discovered. Poison pill provision. So poison pill is something which is a very big term. We will have a discussion afterwards on that. It's a big chapter or what? Okay, there are some topics left over. Fine, we may take some more time. Now, then comes a creditor mechanism. When a company issues a bond, you know, creditors, they try to pressurize company by putting a lot of covenants and everything between the creditor, that means the bondholder and the company, is written in the document called bond indenture. And companies may issue bonds by, you know, like backed up by their assets as collateral. And they may also appoint trustee at times so that all the assets are transferred in the trust. And it's like, you know, more of more like, you know, then the bondholders who are buying the bonds of the company may feel more safe and secure as there is a trustee which is with whom the property or the assets of the company are entrusted, which is pledged. Okay. And creditor committees are made, may form among bondholders to protect their interest when an issuer experiences financial distress. Some countries require such committees when a company files for bankruptcy. A group of bond investors may form an ad hoc committee, which is for some particular purpose. This committee is formed, and after the purpose is fulfilled, then this committee cease to exist. When a company is struggling to meet its obligations while the committee does not represent all the bondholders, their interests are generally aligned. Of course, they have to work for the best interest of the bondholders. Board of directors and management mechanisms. The board of directors is elected by shareholders to act in their interest. A board of directors typically has committees made up of board members with particular expertise, of course. Like, you know, audit committee is made of board of directors with one director who is expert in the field of audit, and he has a team of certain people who work in the same area. So they make audit committee for conducting audits, and that is very important for the internal controls of the company. Then what they do is oversight of financial reporting function and implementation of accounting policies, effectiveness of company's internal controls and the internal audit function, recommending an independent external auditor and its compensation, because internal auditors are only the ones who are going to recommend an external auditor for the audit and for the audit purpose, proposing remedies based on the review of internal and external audits, nominating governance committees responsible for the following: nominating or governance committee. They have to ensure that all the compliances are followed. Generally, company secretaries are in this committee. So they have an oversight of company's corporate governance code, including board elections, setting policies for nomination of candidates for board membership, and implementing of company's code of ethics and policies regarding conflicts of interest, monitoring changes in relevant laws and regulations, ensuring that companies in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations, as well as with companies governance policies. Then compensation committee and remuneration committee is there to decide how much compensation should be given to the executives of the company, like directors, senior managers, and board members, etc. And on what basis, okay, they will decide, and they have to see that whether the cost what they are incurring for all this compensation remuneration, what they are giving to the topmost management or senior managers or board, is justified. Okay. Then employee, customer, and supplier mechanisms. So labor laws, employment contracts, and the right to form unions are the primary mechanisms for employees to manage relationship with employers. Okay. Some countries have laws that require board of large companies to include employee representatives. Also, like in unions, etc. And like employee ownership, that means they give ESOPs. That means they ask the employees to become the shareholder of the company so that they work with more enthusiasm and with more interest because they become the owners. Okay, so they not only work for their self-interest but also for the betterment of the company. Then government mechanisms have to pay taxes to them, have to follow all the compliances. Okay, and have to maintain workplace safety, environmental protection, women's safety, etc. And follow corporate governance codes. That's it. Describe potential risks of poor corporate governance. See what happens if there's poor corporate governance and poor stakeholder management, frauds can happen, right? The risk on the company may increase. Everything will become very weak. And when corporate governance is weak, the control functions of audits and board oversight may be weak as well. Risk is that some stakeholders can gain an advantage or to disadvantage of other stakeholders, like accounting fraud or simply poor record keeping will have negative implications for company performance and value. When governance is weak, managers are not monitored. They may serve their own interest by choosing less than optimal risk, reducing company value without proper monitoring and oversight. Yeah. So the next point here comes is like when govern. So this is what, and see, when governance is weak, everything will be, chaotic. The management will try to go for related party transactions for the benefit of their family, friend. Okay, poor compliances and violating the stakeholder rights. So everything will be, topsy turvy, not good. Okay, everyone's rights may be infringed. Fine. Last and final point, benefit of effective governance and stakeholder management. See what happens with effective governance, things will be in control and shareholders interests, whatever the shareholders interests are, like those can be fulfilled. Okay, like weak control can be avoided, less abuses, a strong system of control and compliance would reduce all the risk of fraud and legal as well as regulatory risk as well. And good policies can always try to like always can be a very good mechanism to fulfill the stakeholders or shareholders requirements and the promises what company makes, the directors make to them. Okay, and also the company can be saved from any kind of default or bankruptcy. Okay, see, everything will be on track. Okay, and the value of the company may also increase. That's what better financial performance and great value, great company value can be created. Fine. So this topic is done. I would like you to go for the chapter, read it, and then I'll give you the questions. Today itself, I'll send. With this, I know all these were theory topics, not big deal. Next topic will be a practical one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This was practical 4. Tomorrow, next topic, what we're going to start is capital investments and capital allocation. Fine. This is a practical topic. Then we have capital structure, somewhat theoretical and practical. Then we have business models. 1, 2. So more 2 topics, your corporate issuers is done. Then I can take up tests. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhargav.